It is the Flow Friday Night Sports Show. Let's talk Eastern Eyre football now with Jarrad Sampson from the Central Eyre United Storm, I should say. G'day, Sambo. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Footy's done for us for the year, mate. But, yeah, can't do much about that. There's finals footy, isn't it?
Well, it is. You were in the first semi-finals, all four of them, and unfortunately the Storm finished the day with 4 losses, but there was some pretty good games of footy for us to talk about in amongst them all.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, great day for the spectator, for sure. You couldn't have got better weather for footy, let alone some pretty good contests, particularly the senior games. So, yeah, despite 4 losses, mate, not overly... Well, I'm not downtrodden by the result at the same token. 6 months ago, we didn't even exist, mate. So you think of where we've come in that time and put out 4 competitive sides. It's been a breath of fresh air for our community and particularly the kids, seeing them actually playing in a structured competition, which 6 months ago we didn't have. Great result. Same with the B grade. So, it's been a whirlwind 6 months, but so over the moon that we're in this position and we're moving forward.
Exactly. Well, let's have a look at how the day went. First semi-finals, we started at 10 a.m. with the Junior Colts, and Central Eyre United actually had more scoring shots than Ports in this game, but just couldn't find the big sticks. 7 behinds to Ports, 3-2, 20. So not a lot in it, but just couldn't find the big opening, mate.
No, I just couldn't get it through the big sticks, particularly in that third quarter. All spent a lot of time down there, but like we discussed last week, the smaller oval at Arno the week before really helped our lads. We get back to Kimber and a bit more open space, and it's a long way for the boys to run the ball from one end of the oval at under 12 level. Couldn't quite get the score on the board, but same token, the boys had a cracking effort made, and down Cliff here, couldn't have been prouder of the kids. They've had a red-hot crack all year and, it didn't disappoint us at the end.
Some fairly familiar names coming through the juniors as well. Ryan, Sampson, Waters, Frid and O'Brien, all named in the best, and there's some names there that'll stick out to some locals from your way.
Absolutely. Ryan, he's come down from Nungi this year, and he is a talented young fella, mate. He's and his brother in the senior Colts. So expect when we're at the junior medal count, not this weekend, the one after, expect that name to be read out pretty regularly throughout the night. He's had a fantastic year. It's been great to have him and his family in the club, mate. There's big effort from Mel and Baz to bring him down each week, but all the young fellas have loved having him there, and he's a real part of the group now. So Kobe Sampson, Ethan Waters, Waters' name again, you'll hear that a lot. So, they've had a great year, particularly Rowie and Ethan, mate. So, hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll see their name up on the boards a few times.
No doubt. The Senior Colts first semi-final, Ports taking on Central Eyre United here, and at half-time, this game was anyone's. You guys were within 3 points. It was only really the third quarter that blew it open. They kicked 4 goals to 1 there, and they ended up running out winners 12-6, 78 to 7-7, 49. So this is a very even competition, and Ports aren't done yet. They'll move on with some confidence into the preliminary final.
I'd imagine so. The whole competition, all 5 sides were pretty close this year, so all probably depended on which kid you had back from college on each weekend. So. Again, I umpired this game. It was a great game of footy, actually. It was competitive from the start. Third quarter, obviously, our boys, Ports kicked with the breeze, and they got a few goals on the board in that quarter. So, solid full forward there. And Tommy Turner is a pretty impressive presence up forward for them. He ended up with 8 goals for the day. But as a contest, fantastic game of footy to watch. And same thing again, Jacob Ryan led from the front. He's, as we touched on, his brother, he's been great to have him in the club. He's still got another year of senior Colts, so looking forward to seeing what our boys can do next year. I think we only lose Jake Mullen out of that side, so it's the boys will be confident next year they can have another crack.
As they should be. We go to the B grade, and gee whiz, another tight one here again. Just the one quarter where it got away from you a little bit, whereas Cal were pretty consistent throughout the game. You nearly ran them down towards the end. They sort of stopped in that final quarter, but 6-1-37 Central Eyre United. Cal 6-7-43. They win by a kick.
Yeah, she was a nail biter right down to the last few minutes, actually. So, yeah, it was back and forth for most of that last quarter. A couple lead changes, but yeah, lads just couldn't quite get over the line. So, yeah, sort of tail of our year. Had big Dwayne Noddle went down with a knee injury on half time, I think it was. So, yeah, another knee recon in the off season. But yeah, so hopefully he has a speedy recovery. But yeah, same token with the amount of players we sort of had out during the year. It's just great to see a contest. And as I touched on earlier, 6 months ago, we weren't even sure if we were going to have a B grade competition where we were. So, yeah, great to see a side out there. And we've got the numbers to cover injuries now, so we can actually put two competitive sides on the park every week and take it up to them. So, yeah, coaches may have been frustrated after the game, but by the end of our game, you could say they're pretty jovial and had moved on to next year pretty quickly.
Yep. Schmucker, O'Brien, Elliott and Grokey named best for Central Eyre United, and a shout-out to big Carlos Jeski as well, who for Cal booted 4 on the day and was probably in the end the difference between the two teams.
Yeah, Deadeye Dick, every time he got the ball within range, he just put it straight through the middle. So, yeah, definitely the difference. Having a key forward that can take a good mark and put it through ended up being the difference on the day. So just too good, and I'd say they'd be going into the finals with a bit of confidence. I'd imagine the Cowboys without their A grade in, they can afford to drop a few back. So yeah, they'll be watching on Saturday with interest, and yeah, home prelim for them, so that you'd think they'd be hoping to go in confident with a win and maybe have a crack at the grand final.
They'll be up and about, that's for sure. We have a look at the A-grade first semi-final now, and gee whiz, there wasn't much in this all day. Ports, in the end, sneaking home against your boys, despite your best efforts up forward. We'll talk about that in a minute. 11-10-76, Central Eyre United 10-9-69. And Sid Masters for Ports booted 6. But up front, yourself and Chappie sort of combined for 5 between you. You got 3 of them as well?
Yeah, I've had to kick a bit straighter, mate. But, yeah, wasn't the day. But, yeah, probably is one of the best games of footy I've played in for the year. So went right down to the end. So lead changed, I think it was 4 times in the last quarter. So it was back and forth all day. Yeah, cracking effort by our guys. Take a lot of heart out of this, but it's an effort at the end of the year that probably sets us up with hopefully a bit of momentum to while footy's checked out for the year for us now. Come pre-season, there'll be a real hunger there, knowing that we can put up a performance like that. So, yeah, obviously, big sit up forward for the Ports boys again. They went home with a bag, but in Hayden Heath's defence, I'd probably thought Hayden did have the better of him for a majority of the day. So, yeah, disappointing the season's over, but at the same token, I'm proud of the effort we put out there, and I think particularly if you're a spectator, it would have been a good game to watch. So, yeah, done for the year, but time to rest up and look forward to next year.
There are some massive names, naming the best players here for both teams. And I'll tell you what, the top 6 for both Ports and Central Eyre United are as good as you'll see in any Eyre Peninsula footy side around the EP. For Ports, Hunt, Leanett, Davey, Rakawassa, Bryce and Masters named in their best. And any one of those players you would expect to see in an Eastern Eyre jumper at Mortlock if they wanted to play. And the same could be said for Central Eyre United. Bruce, Waters, Stringer, Grokey, Joyce and the other Waters, same thing there. So the top-end talent's not the problem. Obviously, just both of your clubs are going to need a bit more depth to match it with Eastern Rangers and the Kimbers.
Absolutely, mate. That's the gap we're seeing in the competition is depth. So hopefully if we get a few more on the park next year and a bit more of a structured pre-season, now that we don't have to deal with all the mayhem of this last one. I'm confident if we can get a couple boys back that have moved back home into the team that we're going to be extremely competitive next year. And very optimistic about not just next year, but if we look at our side, there's plenty of youth in there. There's very few over 30 in that side. So, the next few years, I'm excited about what the future holds. So, we've had 6 months to get used to each other now, and look forward with optimism.
All right. Let's have a look forward to those that will be running around on second semi-final day this weekend at Arno Bay. We'll start with the youngsters, Eastern Rangers, Kimber Districts. Now, I think Eastern Rangers will start favourites in this one.
They've only dropped 2 games for the year, mate, and they were to us. So I'd say they'll be going in full of confidence this weekend that they'll get the job done.
Yep. We move to the senior Colts, and similar sort of situation here with Eastern Rangers. They'll go in favourites against Cow. They dropped a game to you guys earlier in the year, but they haven't lost too many.
No. Oh, yeah, sorry, I got my wires crossed for the last one. It's actually the senior Colts that they've only dropped us. So, again, plenty of depth and numbers down there in their junior ranks. So I'd say, they'd be confident getting the job done again, much like their junior Colts.
Yeah. Tell you what, the reserves clash is going to be a beauty, I reckon. Eastern Rangers and Ports. It's been a while since Ports have had the depth to put out a pretty strong B-grade side, but the Eastern Rangers have had a few injuries. They'll need to bring a couple up. Ports, of course, as we know, they'll be ready and raring to go in the reserve grade.
Home ground, smaller oval, so should suit them well. What do you do if you Ports this week? Do you drop a couple back and try and get your Bees into the grand final and risk some injuries, or do you play it safe? But flip a coin each way, I'd imagine. So. I'll be watching this game with interest. Rangers have been streaks ahead of everyone this year in the B-grade comp, but finals, particularly on a smaller ground, can be a funny story. So I'd back Rangers to have a win, but if Ports run the gauntlet and throw a few boys back from the A's, there's every chance of knocking them off.
That is very true, and it'll be interesting to see what they do there. You're right. So, but with a couple of injuries to deal with in the A grade, there'll be a little week in there in that grade as well. And speaking of the A grade, Arno Bay, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Rangers and Kimber, the old rivalry renewed. Kimber Districts, they will be confident going into this game. You'd think I think they beat them last start, so there's no reason they can't do it again.
No, you could say there was an air of confidence about the Kimber Club Room on Saturday night after our game. So, we'll see. It's hard to take a read on that last result with a few injuries. But, obviously Kempy's out for the season for Kimber. But Rangers have got a few of their own injuries. Hank Burden's got an ankle injury, and I think Reece Benke's under an injury cloud too. So, hard to get a read on where these two sides stack. On the season's performances, Rangers have been the team to beat all year, but at the same token, Kimber, they've just been idling along, looking forward to this time of year. So, small oval, whoever gets first clearance out in the midfield, pretty all hits forward, don't they? So, I'm backing Kimber to have a win on the weekend, but much like every other week, flip a coin.
And you'll have to forgive me, it was Eastern Rangers last time they met, 13-9-87, Kimber Districts 9-8-62, but I think Kimber did get them at some point through the year. But you're right, and they've had to deal with Jesse Kemp being out for a good chunk of the year, Kimber, so it won't be anything foreign to them, but be interesting to see if the Eastern Rangers can get everyone back on the park. That'll be the key for them.
Absolutely. Kimber have handled Kempy's absence for a majority of the year, so I think Rangers, they'll be sweating on a few to get their full side out there. And, it'll be an entertaining game watching the midfield. So you got the Kenny boys up against Reece Racing in the middle there with his crew around him. So, Riley Maitland, of course, as well. So, it's going to be a fascinating battle to watch. And it's probably not the depth is the issue for the two teams, but the players coming up to fill a hole, they'll go a long way to getting their side over the line.
Yep. And the other thing we got in this game, I reckon, is the most miserly defence from the Eastern Rangers up against the best attack by a couple of 100 points, Kimber. When Berger Fitzgerald and a few of his mates up forward get rolling, they really get rolling, Kimber. So they can kick a score on you. They can take a game away from you in 5 minutes if you let them. So they're going to be an ever-present threat up forward.
Yeah, and Berger's a lot closer to that centre line on this smaller oval, so you'd be wanting to cut down and win the midfield battle, or else the ball's going to be on his chest before you know it. Yeah. So, yeah, I'd imagine he'd be sitting there very excited about this smaller oval on the weekend and how many goals he can put away.
Licking his lips. All right, that's a wrap for what's coming up, but also we've got the medal counts coming up next weekend, is that right?
That's right, mate. So we got the junior counts on the Saturday night after the prelim at Cow, and then the senior counts Kine Cutter on the Sunday afterwards with Big Eyre on putting a pig on the spit for the boys.
All right, well, we'll talk more about that next week. Enjoy the footy this week, Sambo, and we'll catch up with you again next week.
Cheers, mate. We'll catch you next week.